Everyone's talking about Argentina, France, and England for the 2026 World Cup, but I think Mauricio Pochettino's USA team could be the tournament's biggest dark horse. Their pressing numbers are elite. They can switch between three systems seamlessly, and if they win their group, their route to the semi-final all of a sudden becomes very realistic. As a professional football coach, I've broken down exactly why the USA could shock the world and also where it could all go wrong. So without further ado, let's go straight into it. Now, what I love about the USA, and I am going to go full-blown football coach tactical into this, and I'm going to present a dynamic tactics board towards the end of this video. Their style of play and the system that Mauricio Pochettino has done has been the most entertaining that I've watched of this World Cup so far. And I made myself a promise to stay up to watch their first game because I wanted to see what the USA is all about, A, under Pochettino, B, in their home nation, and also how they're developing. Because we know the United States of America is a massive country. But how are they actually in football? Well, compare this to Brazil, Spain, and Portugal that can barely beat teams and play a very boring 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 system, and the Netherlands are added into that. Pochettino doesn't do that. He plays a high-pressing, control possession, counter-pressing, relentless style of football, okay, that maybe a lot of managers are afraid to do because of the conditions. Pochettino says no. And you know why he says no? Because you play for 22 minutes. What do you have? A 3-minute break. Then you play for 22 minutes. What do you have? A 15-minute break. Then you play for 22 minutes. What do you have? A 3-minute break. Then you play for 22 minutes more, and then it's done. So the match now is split into 4 halves. It's no longer 2 halves. Yeah, it's 4 halves now. And their system is incredible. So if you look at the photos and the graphics that we have on screen, and their 3-4-2-1, the 3-4-3 system that they played in the very first game, their ability to control possession, overload in wide areas. Now, how do they do that? Well, when one of the wing backs gets the ball, okay, and you can see the tactics board behind me. When one of the wing backs gets the ball, as soon as that happens, the 10 on that side is also making a channel run, okay? And if he makes a channel run, the striker can come deep. And the same vice versa. If the striker makes the channel run, the 10 can come in and they can combine and play. And they're so good at that. They're so good at their combinations. It's absolutely amazing. Then against Australia, no Pulisic. Pochettino says no problem. And they play a 3-5-2. And they say, right, if Australia's going to play a 5-4-1, not a problem for us because I'm going to have 2 up there. Okay, and now he's got his 2 strikers. And he's got his 2 wing backs. And what Pochettino did, and this is the biggest difference between Brazil, between Spain, between Portugal, between Netherlands and Pochettino's USA, is he noticed the team has 5 defenders. What's the very first thing we get taught as football coaches? From UEFA B license onwards, which is the qualifications I hold also. Overload in attacking areas. So if they play a back 4, you need 5. If they play a back 5, you need 6. Pochettino has been the only manager who's been brave enough to do that this World Cup, and that's why he's getting the rewards. So they're 2 strikers, plus their 2 wing backs, plus their 10. But that's 5v5. That's not enough for Pochettino. So if you watch the game, you'll notice it's Adams that's the deepest. There's a single pivot. And it's McKennie and Tillman, who play as the 2 10s high up in possession. So their system is then a 3-1-6 in their build-up phase, which means their 6 overloads Australia's back 5. Okay, and that means as soon as they manage to break the line, and sometimes they even go to a 2-2-6 formation. So they build with only 2 centre backs. One of the centre backs steps into midfield, okay, to give them an extra, basically a double pivot in there to be able to connect passes to play. Because Australia are only really playing with 2 midfielders. I know they've got a 5-4-1, but the other 2 are a little bit wider, sort of covering the half spaces between the USA number 10 and the USA wingback. So it's incredible, the tactical understanding. And as a Chelsea fan, Pochettino was great with us, but we didn't see it to this sort of level. I think he's really gone out and said, right, I'm going to show myself on a world stage here. And he's been fantastic to watch. The 3 weeks that he's had with his team, the 1.5 close to 2 years that he's been building for this moment has been absolutely incredible. And I'm going to show this in a little bit more on my dynamic tactics board in a moment. But this is the sort of stuff that I'm talking about. So I'll show you a graphic, right? Now, their pressing and counter-pressing is off the scale. Okay, so they have a very clear rule. 5 to 7 seconds, win the ball back. Okay, as soon as they lose possession, you see the likes of Tillman Dest, Robinson, Balogun, Pepe, Pulisic, Adams, McKennie, all of them are hunting. Everyone pushes up the pitch. They spend majority of the time with their back three on the halfway line. 70, 80% of the game, because that's how much they control the tempo, the possession, and the counter-pressing moments. Now, for those who don't know what counter-pressing means, it means, imagine a counter-attack, right? You've just won the ball back, you're attacking. Well, counter-pressing is the same, but for the defensive side of the game. You've just lost the ball. What's your reaction? Now, in coaching, the way I educate my teams, the way I coach my teams, there's always 3 steps to a defensive transition. The first one, can you win the ball back? 7 seconds, go. The second one, if you can't win the ball back, can you sprint back in straight lines and defend centrally to force them away from your goal? And then the third one, really, really simple. If you can't do neither of those things, and it's a dangerous break, you make a tactical foul, you pull a shirt, you take a yellow card, you reset. And Pochettino has nailed this to absolute perfection. And watching the USA is mind-blowing. Okay, I can't compare any team to them, maybe apart from Thomas Tuchel's England, who have been very brave with a different formation and a different style, but very brave in the way that they play. No one else has done that at this World Cup for me. Everyone else has been very boring, very, very boring, especially the big nations. Yeah, that we'll be making videos on as well. So this is so good from them. And then if you look on the other side, so this is their change in system, the way they go. They have that double pivot. So this is Mauricio Pochettino's system. They play a 3-2-5. Now, why do they do that? Well, because if the opposition play a front three, which most teams at this World Cup do, for example, the 4-3-3, well, what Pot says is, right, we're going to be brave, and it's your front three against my back three. That's how brave he is. It's 1 against 1 at the back. So if USA lose it, they have to be tremendous in their 1 against 1 battles. Otherwise, they're in trouble. But the success from that is that he now has 5 forwards against their back 4. So if their 3 manage to build into midfield, and as soon as the ball goes to Robinson or Dest, you notice immediately there's a problem for the opposition. Now, that problem exists because they overload areas. So the ball goes out to Dest on the right-hand side. He's got Freeman behind them for a pass backwards if they can't go forwards. He's got McKennie on the inside. He's got Tillman making a run, and he's got Balogun either making a channel run or coming in to receive the ball and play out to Tillman. So they've constantly got Dest, McKennie, Tillman, and Balogun, 4 players in one zone against the opposition centre-back, full-back, maybe recovering winger, okay, and maybe the centre mid that's covering. So it's a 4 against 4 in that sector. And they trust themselves, we're better than you. And Dest has been tremendous. He's been dribbling past players. He's been aggressive. He's been rapid. And they trust themselves that we're better than you in that zone. And if we're not, I'm just going to go back. And we're going to circulate and we're going to hit you fast down the other side. And then we've got our 4 again. And by the time that the ball moves quicker than the players, yeah, if I kick a pass and I say, right, all 11 of you run and I'm going to kick a ball, the ball's going to get there before all 11 players get there. So America's build-up, the simple fact that the ball moves quicker, they're able to transfer and go. And when they go, and they have now Robinson, Pulisic, Adams, Balogun, again, that 4, that little quadruple in that zone against maybe 2 or 3 manage to recover as the ball shifts. The quicker they shift it, the less players recover. They have the spaces to go and attack. And they have been so good at that. So good at that. The space in between Pulisic and Robinson that you're seeing in them little wide channels, that's the space in between the opposition fullback and centre-back. That is where the likes of Pulisic, Tillman, Adams or McKennie make them channel third-man runs. That frees up the space for Balogun in the middle. It frees up the wing-backs. And it allows you to have a movement that takes the opposition with you. And if they follow and it's not on, they're going to reset and they're going to kill you because they're going to control possession and go 1, 2, 3, bang, we're out. And their tactical ability to do everything in this World Cup, I'm blown away at how good they've been. Their strengths, okay? But in every single strength, there is always some weaknesses. Now, I've spoken about all of these strengths pretty much, so I'm just going to leave them on the screen, have a read through them. But I'm also an unbiased coach, and on this channel, we really dive into things tactically, yeah? So their weaknesses, well, the USA don't have much of a lack of knockout experience, okay? So they've not been in high-pressure games. For example, a quarterfinal against Argentina or a quarterfinal against England. Are we going to see them play as brave? Or is Pochettino's team going to slump into a 5-3-2, into a 5-4-1? Are their wing-backs going to get pushed back? Or the opposite, if they don't and they still go, well, the space is in behind them. And better teams with better players can punish that. Like I say, they play a 3 against 3 at the back. Our back 3 against your front 3. Beat us. But the good teams, they will beat you if you do that. Because of that, it leaves them vulnerable to direct play. So if a team manages to nick it in play, so one pass and we go, they're in trouble on the transition. And their reliance on intensity and finishing consistency could be detrimental. So the way that they're playing, as I've mentioned, is a very, very high-paced style of football. But in order to play that style of football, you need to take moments. And so far, they've done that. And that's why they've been so brilliant. But the moment when they're relying on this intensity, but teams manage to have the momentum that the score's 0-0 or 1-1, and they're not finishing the US, they're not finishing their chances, it leaves them susceptible to that negative emotion where you're, oh, it's not working today. And then you lose concentration and bang, the other team can break and score. And that links in with the lack of experience. If that happens in a knockout game, you're going home. But however, I've seen USA in 2 games, right? And the Pochettino effect, there's a new identity, there's new belief, and most importantly, there's new expectations. It's not a coincidence that they're performing this well. It's a reality. So I do think their strengths outweigh their weaknesses, and I can't wait to watch their last group stage game. And I can't wait to watch them in the knockouts, and I'm so happy they're in the knockouts because this is what I want to see. I hate teams like Bosnia and Qatar because they've come to this World Cup. They've parked the bus in both games. They've got a point, luckily, and I'm glad they both got hammered in the last game that they played because they don't deserve to be at this World Cup. But the USA, they're taking advantage of their home support, and they've been terrific. But what does their road to the final actually look like? So I've used Opta Analysis, which is the supercomputer in football that predicts things. Supposedly, they are to face Egypt in the round of 32. Now, let me have a water break. Sorry, talking a lot. I think the USA win that game comfortably. I know Egypt have Mo Salah, and I know they have Marmoush, and whoever else they have. But I think USA win that game comfortably. And then that gives them a predicted projection of playing Belgium in the round of 16. Now, in my opinion, having watched only one game from Belgium, I think the USA win that game. I don't think Belgium are that good anymore. They still have some good players, don't get me wrong. And their front 3 with Doku, Trossard and Lukaku could be a very dangerous front 3 for the USA's back 3 if they play that brave system. But I think with their home support, with the game being played in their home country, because if the US win their group, if I'm not wrong, the round of 32 and round of 16 is confirmed to be in the US, they just get through. They have enough. And then they go to a quarterfinal, which is what a lot of people have been saying is the sign of success for Mauricio Pochettino. If he gets US to a quarterfinal, that's successful in the eyes of the US hierarchy and their football federation. That's what's expected, or maybe you could even argue it's beyond expectations. Now, if they do play against Spain, which is Opta's tournament favourites for this World Cup, but I watched Spain against Cape Verde, and they were awful. Now, combine that against a team that knows how to punish you, which Cape Verde didn't know how to. I strongly and fundamentally believe, because don't forget, Spain also got knocked out by Morocco at the last World Cup. So Spain are susceptible to playing against teams that they should win, but they don't. And that happened also in the World Cup 2014. That happened at the Euros in 2016. That happened at the World Cup in 2018. Yeah. And that happened at the Euros in 2020 or 21. So Spain, as good as they are, and I am going to make a video in Spain, and I love Spain and Spanish football. And those that know me as a coach and know my background and my connection to Spain and Spanish football know that I mean absolutely zero disrespect when I say this. So, but I do think the US have just enough to beat them. Maybe it's extra time, maybe it's penalties, but I think the US have enough to beat them. But do I see US winning the tournament? I don't. No, because when it gets to the semi-final stage and they play France, which is predicted, and France are my favourites for the tournament, I don't think they're getting past them because the USA will not be allowed to play the way they're playing against France. If Mauricio Pochettino and US play like that, fair play to them for the bravery, but Mbappe, Elise, Dembele as the front 3 will kill them. And also, France's midfield is better than the US midfield. So playing a single or double pivot won't be enough. They'll have to play a 3-man midfield. And also, France's defense is much better than all the other teams. They're better than Egypt. They're better than Belgium. They're better than Australia. They're better than Paraguay. I'd argue France's defense is better than Spain's defense. So I think if it gets to that, that's one step too far for the US, and France win that. But I can see US going all the way to a semi-final. Yes. Yes. I for sure absolutely can. Okay. And let me know your thoughts, obviously, below. But that's my thoughts. Quarterfinals minimum. Semi-final is the dream. Brave, bold, relentless. This is the United States of America. How far do you think Pochettino will guide this US national team? Subscribe to the channel and welcome to the Blue Gaffer FC. More breakdowns coming.